The IDR Mix engine provides a virtual FX rack which can be configured with up to 8 processors including reverbs, delays, modulators and more. All are top quality emulations and developments of popular industry standard effects modules by our engineers right into the heart of the DSP Mix engine. This gives you very low latency and instant access to all 8 effects at all times. No need for licenses, dongles or complex configurations. Press the FX key below the touchscreen to open the FX page. Then touch one of the 8 numbered boxes across the top to present the FX processor you want to work with. These display FX number, type and user-defined name. If the box is blank and labelled as empty rack, then this means an FX processor has not been assigned to this slot. The rack is loaded from a library of effects. Presets are grouped into factory, user and USB. Factory default presets cannot be overwritten and can be used as a starting point for creating your own presets. User-edited settings may be named and stored here for further recall. USB presets read off a USB memory key so that you can use your favourite settings on another iLive system without the need to load them in advance. When you touch the library button, you open a list you can choose from. Highlight the preset you want or use the screen encoder to scroll through the list. Effects are grouped into FX types: reverbs, delays, modulators, subharmonics, gated verbs and speaker matrix. Touch recall to load the highlighted preset. The effect is loaded instantly together with its associated panel layout. Touch the front panel button to display the parameter settings view, as if you are working with a traditional rack-mounted effects unit. Touch the value boxes or controls to highlight them and use the screen encoder to adjust the settings. Touch the DFX button to open up the Dynamics FX controls for each effect. This can be used to gate or duck the FX return signal to produce dynamically managed effects contributions. The FX rack also features a host of new routing possibilities for patching FX inputs and outputs. Touch the back panel button to display a virtual view of the rear connectors. Use the drop-down menus to set the device in a mix return loop or insert it into a channel. You can insert an FX into any input, group, aux, main or matrix. This effect is in line with the signal and provides an on-screen dry-wet control to balance between the original and affected signal and an on-off in switch. If the effect is patched into a mono channel or mix, its stereo output is combined into a mono sum. However, dual mono mode allows a stereo effect device such as a chorus unit to be used on a stereo keyboard connected into 2 mono channels as opposed to a stereo channel. Mix return FX patches the effect as a traditional system effect fed from a mix bus, channel direct output or more. The FX screen provides the associated master send and return controls, access to the 4-band PEQ graphical display if a short return is used. Patching from direct outs can save buses for more in-ear stereo mixes. Furthermore, with the new extended I/O FX architecture introduced in iLive firmware 1.8, FX modules can be daisy-chained to other cascaded FX modules. The Outputs tab or pop-up window displays the current output of the module. By default, these are patched to dedicated FX short returns. FX short returns are stereo input channels that return the output of the device to the mix, and are in addition to the 64 input channels available. To return to a full input channel instead, use the preamp processing section of the desired channel. To patch directly into an XLR socket, for example, when using the speaker matrix, use the output screen, select Rack FX from the drop-down menu, and then choose the FX unit and output. An unassigned button is provided to clear the current I/O patching of the FX module and restore the default settings. Pressing a short return channel select key accesses its PEQ settings, using the channel strip analog style controls on the left of the screen and its processing parameters and routing using the screen view. Let's have a look at the different effects types. Spatial Modeling Reverberator provides high quality stereo reverb effects based around 4 complex spatial models: Classic, Hall, Room and EMT. Each of these models employs different reflection and decay algorithms to provide natural sound spaces. Top layer controls essential in a live mixing situation include low frequency and high frequency filters, pre-delay, decay time, high frequency decay and high frequency slope. In addition, you can open expert pages which give you the control of many additional parameters for fine-tuning. The delays generate separate left and right delay outputs from a mono input feed. Individual tap indicators flash at the current tap rate set. Touch a tap button to highlight it and use the screen encoder to adjust its value, or tap the button at the rate you need. Delay time can be adjusted from 5 milliseconds to 1.36 seconds. You can enter a separate rate for the left and right delays, or you can link left and right to work in mono with a single delay time. Fine controls let you fine-tune the times, and other controls include variable frequency filters, feedback with low-pass damping filter, and a stereo width control. Scatter changes the delay pattern between left and right. The Adt Doubler is an automatic double tracking module for creating short echo, chorusing effects, classic double tracking and slapback tape delay loops. It emulates the classic Adt effects that are popular in enhancing sources such as vocals and guitars in live sound mixing. It can also create a subtle stereo sound field that can help produce ambience in a stereo in-ear monitor or recording mix. The algorithm can create stereo double and quad track voices. Thickness creates flutter modulation in the delay voices. There is also a stereo width enhancer, and the tracked voice can be auto-panned in the stereo field to further enhance the effect. Chorus emulates the classic chorus generators of the late 1980s. Through 3 stereo field emulations, these can be switched in different combinations, creating many different stereo fields. All switched up gives no stereo enhancement. The key traditional rate and depth controls cover the center panel. The LFO driving the modulator can be switched, sine or rectified to change the sound of the effect. The auto panning section pans the chorus voices, giving stereo level shimmer, another classic modular effect. Electric Flange provides 3 classic emulations: Ambient, a light subtle ambient sound; Vintage, a classic silky sound from the birth of tape machines flanging; and a wild flange. The numerous LFO modulators and stereo splitting techniques found in popular pedal flange effects have been emulated here. For classic deep flange, set the stereo split and stereo spread off. Pick triangular modulation, vintage, and adjust the depth and regeneration controls. The manual switch overrides the LFO for manual flange sweeps, a feature found only on a few historic flanges. Move Phaser is a classic 12-stage emulation producing rich textured phasing with plenty of control. The user has control of a number of stages, feed forward and feedback, and zero depth manual mode, to manually sweep the phaser using the offset control. The classic characteristic sound is produced by careful emulation of the phase chain and operating frequency range around the offset control. Equally important is the emulation of harmonic signatures produced by the compounded analog delay lines, producing rich harmonics adding thickness to the sound. The split mono LFO switch toggles between in phase, intense phasing and split phase mode, creating spatial rotary effects. Lower numbers of stages produce clean thin sound, higher numbers produce a rich phasing sound. Hyperbass is a subharmonic synthesis unit classically used in a live sound environment to generate infra and sub-bass spectrum from weaker bass program. We initially emulated the American analog classic, but the implementation in DSP gave us the ability to use more sophisticated techniques in the subharmonic generator and filtering stages. The result is reduced distortion in the infrabass section and much better impedance control of the infra and sub-bass spectrum, essential for live PA use. The module is stereo in, stereo out, with software normalized mono input if source is mono. The stereo signal remains stereo throughout the signal path. Extreme care is needed as driving high infrabass levels into insufficient speakers may lead to speaker damage. Separate infrabass and sub-bass level controls and peak detected meters are provided. Lost fundamental mode turns the infrabass section off and modifies the output spectrum to operate in the typical upper bass region, useful for increasing bass perception. These harmonics can be output to a mid-range driver to create apparent bass energy, since musically related to the original bass content. Gated Verb hosts the classic 80s emulation, plus panned and powerbox gated reverb presets. The user interface gives instant access to low-cut, high-cut decay, spectrum filters and the gate envelope controls. A visual representation of the gate time domain envelope helps the engineers see the sound effect. Also included are mono, stereo and wide imaging options and decay diffusion. Classic non-linear emulates the faithful 80s classic gated reverb. Panned has rapid panning between left-right in the reverb, creating short time movement effects. Powerbox gives maximum power in gated energy. The speaker matrix processor produces 3, 4 and 5 speaker stack outputs from stereo LR program. This enables LR mixes to be distributed to front of house across different stage widths, without changing channel panning or matrix feeds. The algorithm exploits a phased cross matrix to provide smooth LR panning across 5 speakers and also distributes far left and right to both sides, improving audibility at far left-right positions of the entire mix. The rack also includes delay lines on all outputs for precise alignment and sub-management with crossover filter. Sub-output can be sourced from stereo LR and a mono sum or dedicated subsend.